I think it's big. I mean, it's got to be that genuine juice, that genuine energy.
You know, we started this search 19 days ago, and we set out to find an outstanding leader, a brilliant coach, and someone who could lead our entire organization together. And we went into it with an open mind and met in person with 10 really impressive candidates across 8 different cities, all in 11 days. And we thoroughly enjoyed learning about these candidates and their vision for our football team. And for that, you know, I want to thank each and every one of them. You know, from the start of the interview process, Nathaniel impressed us with his intelligence, his innovation, and his strong leadership qualities. You know, we met with Nathaniel. The initial interview was in Green Bay. He blew us away. You know, it was 4.5 hours about everything. And when he walks in the room, he lights it up. We followed that up with a second interview. We brought him to Denver on Monday and visited for 9 to 10 hours. And then I followed that up the next day with a one-on-one Zoom session with Nathaniel for probably 2.5 hours. So I think he's probably sick of talking to me. He's sick of the process. But at least he got to have a great meal at Los Dos Patrios, which really kind of sealed the deal. When we did a lot of background, we do a lot of background on all the candidates, and the word that kind of resonated, other than his football acumen, was connection. And Nathaniel has a unique ability to connect with everyone he touches. He has a proven track record of developing younger players, working with quarterbacks, and helping great players become even better. But it was his vision in all 3 phases of our football team that really separated himself with the rest of the group. He's the son of a very successful college, an NFL coach. He grew up around football. He's all about ball. He's a student of the game. He's a unique competitor who's all about winning. But he's different than any coach I've really been around. He has a lot of other interests. He's all about family. Any communication you have with Nathaniel, it's about his family. It was very refreshing. He's about cultivating relationships. He's big into the arts, helping others, volunteering in the community, which is why I think he connects with so many different types of people. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the 18th head coach in Denver Broncos history, Nathaniel Hackett.
Woo. How's everybody doing today?
And welcome to Breakin Broncos. I am your host, Dan Westine. That was our GM, George Paton, introducing the, as he stated, 18th head coach in Denver Broncos history, something I think all fans should be rejoicing in Broncos country this week. We are going to be going into a deep dive into this head coach. Got my guy Dylan Miles here with me. As always, it's always about your Denver Broncos. Like I said, all about the coaching hire, everything that's going around to it. We're going to be talking about Nathaniel Hackett, what he means to this team, what he's going to bring to this team, how it's going to change the culture, the coverage, the offensive and defensive X's and O's, and of course, the elephant in the room. Does this mean anything when it comes to Aaron Rodgers? So please stay tuned. We have a great show for you today. That is just the first of the tidbits that we have from you from Nathaniel Hackett's introductory press conference. We're going to be sprinkling those into the show today to give you a little something extra. So before we go ahead and get really into this, Dylan, what are your thoughts on this hiring? How excited are you? How apprehensive? All those good things.
I'm happy and excited because this is our guy. But out of all the candidates that they interviewed, this is the guy we wanted. Personally, I would have loved some Brian Dabo, but he's going to do great in New York. But no, I'm excited.
Yes.
Nathaniel Hackett, great offensive mind. Obviously, we've seen what he can do with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers down there in Green Bay. But I don't think a lot of people really know that man took Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles, of all people, to an AFC championship where they almost won. But that's why I'm excited. This man can develop quarterbacks. He can develop a new offense. That's what's exciting. Brand new offense. We're not going to have the same old Shermer, Scangarello offensive system. We're going to see something brand new, which is potentially going to be potentially exciting to see us get a juggernaut offense once again.
Yeah, he brings so much juice. But the thing that I think people don't talk about enough is that Nathaniel Hackett is not just an offensive guy.
Yeah.
This man played linebacker in college at UC Davis. You know, as we'll see later, he's not going to claim that he was the greatest, but that's where he started. He's also coached special teams, and then he made his hay on the offensive side. So this is not a one-dimensional coach like Broncos country has dealt with essentially since Mike Shanahan left. It's always been one guy that specializes on one side of the ball, and then they end up going and getting coordinators that either suck, like Pat Shermer, or get poached, like Gary Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing that I'm excited about is that this Broncos team is going to get a coach that is going to allow the offense to grow with him. He's got a 4-year contract. George Paton has 5 years left on his deal. These guys are joined at the hip. So Paton is going to do everything he can to make Nathaniel succeed and look good as a hire. And Nathaniel's going to want to do everything he can to prove George Paton right, that he made the right move with going for the third straight time, a first-time head coach. But the thing I want to point out is this isn't like Vance Joseph or Vic Fangio, because again, he's not a specialist and he has a long track record, kind of like Fangio. Fangio had like 40 years in the league as a coordinator. Hackett doesn't quite have that amount of experience, but he does have much more than Vance Joseph. And again, no specialization. This guy, as you will see through the clips that we are going to show, is going to change the culture in so many ways. And I really cannot wait until next season to where we can get into that. So as we're speaking of what changes Nathaniel Hackett can bring to Dove Valley when it comes to culture and when it comes to coverage-wise, and when I say coverage, I mean media coverage. Because as everybody in Broncos country knows, over the last 5 years since the Super Bowl, that coverage has dwindled. Something that, again, that Broncos country is not used to. Broncos country is used to playing on Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, Saturday night. This year, they got one Monday night game, one Thursday night game.
They didn't get a Monday night game. There was no Monday night game. It was Thursday, Sunday, and a Saturday.
That Sunday that they got flexed into, and
then flexed into a Saturday as well.
Saturday, exactly.
Which that game was better than the Sunday, but
yes, most definitely. But that's the thing, is they got flexed into those. They didn't have those to start the season, which is completely abnormal for Broncos country. So with him coming in, bringing in a fresh perspective, a high-flying offense, which we will discuss that, yes, it's new, but it might not be that new for Broncos country once we break it down and really give you what the schemes and X's and O's are going to be that he's bringing in.
The only reason it's really new, though, is because we haven't seen it in so long, right?
Right.
We haven't seen it in that long. And sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, and then I have this video to show exactly why, even though he's bringing in a similar scheme, why it's going to be different. So go ahead and listen to Nathaniel Hackett, who got great questions from one of our favorite insiders, Jeff Legwold. I'll go ahead and roll the tape. This is about analytics, and I'll let the second question, because it's a really fun question. It doesn't have anything to do with football, but I had to.
I know which question you're talking about.
It's really, really fun. So let's go ahead and roll the tape.
So analytics, I think they're awesome. I think that numbers are an amazing thing in this world. I've been very enamored by so many things from when I first started as a quality control. I was a quality control guy for 8 years, and the amount of stuff that we built from reports across the board were awesome. And I think what they do especially as a play caller and anybody that utilizes them, is they're a great baseline. They're great things to show you and help guide you and check what you do. They're a great way to check what you're doing yourself. So I think there's so many different ways that you can utilize them. When you look at game day, there's so many things that can help guide you to make the best decision, because for anybody that's out on that field, every decision, it's very quick. And I think that the more that you have the analytical data to help you make a better decision, it's going to help the whole team. And so I think that we'll use that quite a bit, and it's not necessarily going to be the only thing we're going to do, and it's going to be exactly what we're going to do, but we're definitely going to utilize it to help us make great decisions.
And second, you're a Star Wars enthusiast. Which character sums up your personality best, and why?
Oh, gosh, did not know I was going to get that one right now. I have always felt myself that I feel like I'm a Han Solo. I just felt like he was always smooth and cool, and he got the beautiful princess too, so sorry, I had to say that. But she's so mad at me right now. But no, I've always loved Han, and God, Yoda, that's almost like picking one of my children. Star Wars is dear to me, so, but no, we'll throw Han out there. Han.
I like how he finally corrected himself at the end and said Han.
I was about to say that.
Solo.
But I will give him credit, because that's how he's introduced in the first movie, as Han.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not too mad at him, and I do want to correct myself. I do apologize. That was not Jeff Legwold. That was Andrew Mason, another one of the.
And I do like Andrew Mason.
Yes, yeah, he's another one, but that's another reason why I picked those questions. And I do have some Jeff Legwold questions, so I didn't misspeak that I don't have any. I do have some, but we'll get to those later. But
the only way he would have really got more credit for me is if he called it the Falcon, if he mentioned the Falcon.
Right, the Falcon.
Yep.
and the pretty princess that he said his wife. And this is the reason I wanted to keep that in there, because it wasn't just fun or funny. It gave you a little bit of an insight onto this man's personality, who he is, and how he can relate to this new generation of players. This isn't the Bear Bryants and that of the world back in the day where they could just be a drill sergeant. People don't work like that anymore, especially these millionaires that are grown men. Some just got out of college. So you have to find a way to relate. And this man, just from his pop culture references, if you go watch his Mic'd Up where he's talking about Anchorman and things of that nature, like if you would have asked Vic Fangio who Anchorman was, he probably would have been talking about Walter Cronkite. So,
yeah. I'm in a glass case of emotion. That's where I'm at right now.
Right. I love it. Oh, that escalated quickly.
Brett killed the guy.
We had a good comment while we were waiting or watching the video. It says, "Hey, Dan and Dylan, how exciting is it to get a new head coach? Broncos country definitely got a winner with this coach." You are going to see from this episode just how excited, because literally the entire episode is about Nathaniel Hackett. So you are going to see throughout.
I kind of want to indulge from our text from last night as well during the games.
NSFW.
Yeah.
But yes, we are glad that they picked one, and the first team. Which was funny, because everybody was complaining about the fact that they were taking so long, and they still ended up being the first team.
19 days is short in a head coaching search.
That's it, especially when you're going through 10 candidates and logging over 10,000 flyer miles.
When the Broncos hired Fangio, I don't think they announced him until March?
Right. Yeah.
They didn't get until March?
No, it was like 9 days after the end of the season.
Was it?
Okay. Yeah. They only did they did the first round of interviews with a handful of candidates, and then they brought Fangio and Munchak back for second interviews, then hired Fangio as the head coach and got Munchak as the O-line coach.
And from what I've heard, I think Munchak is going.
That's possible. There's been talks either way. We'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me, when you start talking about candidates, I apologize. Just pulled a Howard Stern, belching in y'all's ear. But
Love me
it's
some
not just
Howard.
about how excited we are. How about you, Broncos country? Let us know in the comments and on the social media feeds. Are you excited? What do you feel that Hackett's going to bring? We're going to give you our perspective, but we would love to hear your perspective as well. So don't
I
always
think the
think this
biggest
is a one-way street.
the
Go
biggest
ahead.
thing about Hackett coming in is bringing that winning mentality back, right? Fangio really tried to bring it back into it. He did in the players, not in the fans. In the players, he did because they loved Fangio. He was a great guy. He was a good coach to those guys. But what I'm excited for this year is that the offense has somebody that they can put their confidence into, not just the defense. Everybody on the team has somebody they can put their confidence into, especially who they
Yes.
bring in as DC. From reports I've seen, it was out of Baltimore.
Yeah,
I
there's a
believe it
couple.
was.
One out of Baltimore, and then there's a couple other ones. Again, we'll get more
Yeah.
in depth to who the candidates are later in the show. I want to get more on what exactly what kind of culture is Hackett going to bring in. Well, he is all about family and players. Again, here, take a listen.
My dad's a football coach, and being a football coach's kid, it's not cool sometimes. And, be able to stick together and be a family and everything that he's done for me to show me how to be a dad, how to be a husband. I could never thank him enough, let alone all the football stuff. I think it's just he's been so integral in my life, and my mom. I mean, both of them for all the things that we've done. My brother, it's a crazy profession, and we all know that. But when you've got a strong family, and it's beautiful things can happen. Again, I keep mentioning the players, and for me, that's what this game is about. Growing up in a locker room with my father. And all those guys, coaching, it's about the relationships. It's about watching those guys out there excel and showing something special and making Broncos country proud. And that's what we want to do. And that's what I'm going to bring to the table. I want to create this environment where people want to come into this building and work and have fun doing it. But let's make no mistake. It's only fun when you win football games.
Oh,
See,
I clicked
look at
my
this
can
fool.
by accident.
You're good. But no, like that gives you an insight that this man he gets it. He understands that a locker room is a family and that the way to make sure that your players toe the line is not to be a disciplinarian, but to be a leader and a father figure. That people are going to run through a wall much more willingly if they love you than if they hate you.
Mm-hmm. And what I took away from that, it is tough being a coach's kid, right? You're held to higher expectations. That's the thing is when people see you as a coach's kid, they think, oh, he's just going to get everything he wants. No, you're held to higher expectations. And I kind of have something like that. Well, my dad coached my little league teams, right? But it was like my dad was the superintendent of my high school for a few years. And there was like, oh, he's just going to get away with everything. Not really.
No,
he's going to know about everything I do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you could ask my son. I've coached his teams. I actually had parents come up to me and they wanted to tell me how much they appreciated the fact that I didn't treat their kids any differently than mine, and that actually I was harder on my kid than I was on anybody else's kid. And he'll tell you the same thing. It's just
go get Trey. Where's Trey?
Right? We need Trey for a second. But yeah, he could definitely attest that being the son of a coach is not always sunshine and rainbows. That a lot of the times you end up getting the bulk of the flack, even if it was somebody else's fault.
Think about a lot of those guys, especially like Kyle Shanahan, right? He was under his dad for a long time in Denver. I love the story. He started off in Denver as holding his dad's headset cord on the sideline all season, every season. And you can see him in those Super Bowl clips where Shanahan's out there when he's talking. You can see Kyle in the back holding his cords. And then he was over there with him in Washington. He didn't give him a straight coordinator job to start. He was sitting there as a position coach, scouting team, and then eventually worked his way to an offensive coordinator job. And it showed that he was good because look where he ended up. He ended up in Atlanta, taking them to a Super Bowl as an OC, and taking a team to a Super Bowl as a head coach in San Francisco, and back to an NFC championship just this past year. That's what's exciting to see these. You know, you have a coach's kid, and, you know, he's probably learned a lot. And that's what we're going to see going into this season.
Exactly. And great comment. It's only fun when football games are won. Coach said it for everyone to know that Broncos are playing to win this year. Yes, 1,000%. I'm glad that you pointed out that part of the quote, because that is the part of the quote I want to hit home. I want everybody to hear. I know it's an introductory press conference, and it's really hard to lose an introductory press conference because everybody's in that.
Unless you're Vance
phase.
Joseph.
Right, yeah, he kind of failed, but that's
having the time of his life.
That poor man, that poor man that never made it back on TV after that.
Oh, dude.
I know. Actually, what's funny is I just got out of a class where they were talking about, like, we were focusing on stand-ups and sideline reporting and stuff like, and they used him as an example of what not to do. I felt so bad. I'm like, this poor man.
They showed us that when I started. At CMS.
Yes, they showed it there.
I remember watching that live. I remember watching that live because I was working. I was working at the theater in town, and I had the game on my phone, the opening game, and I saw that, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
I know. I felt so. I was just like, my skin was crawling for the poor man, because I'm just like, I can only imagine how it would be to clam up on your first national TV spot on ESPN on Monday night. Okay, everybody in the world is watching, and this poor man just locked up. Well, and the funniest part about it, for you, those of you that have not seen the video, is that when he's saying Vance Joseph is having the time of his life, Vance Joseph has this scowl on, like somebody just took his lunch money. Like, he looks so angry while this guy's saying, look at him. He's having the time of his life.
He said it like 3 times.
I know. It was great.
I think that's the only thing he said. Last thing I want to say, that's like one of 3 phrases he said, and he said it 3 times.
Yes, exactly. He just had it on loop.
That's why I'm glad I'm calling the games.
I do want to point out Trey was an absolutely great sport. When I was coaching his teams, we had an absolute blast together, and I can't wait until COVID gets itself together, so that way we can do that again, because I really enjoyed coaching.
Are you like a butter maker out there?
What's that?
You like butter maker out there, Bad News Bears?
Oh.
You out there killing beers in the dugout?
No, I'm not that bad.
No.
I'm killing Gatorades. I kill Gatorades in the dugout. Don't make it sound like I'm the dude.
I know, I'm just messing. I watched Bad News Bears the other night. It was on TV. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, MLB Network, probably. I think I watched it on there the other day. I watched part of it. I love it.
God,
the original,
that movie.
Not the Keanu Reeves. The Keanu Reeves is okay, but yeah, the original.
Oh, if I'm thinking new Bad News Bears, I like the of remakes. The one with Billy Bob Thornton's great too. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yes, I have every intention to bring back Coach Dan. It's just, again, Corona's in the way.
Bring me out
we
there,
got
bro.
something
I
about
got
Aaron
good
Rodgers would be an asset for the Broncos. I can see the Broncos winning if he is added to the team. Yes, that's one thing. Like, despite my personal feelings, I have said this in every avenue. Aaron Rodgers would make this team better. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would make almost any team better. But you got to understand, how much of your future are you mortgaging for a couple of years with an almost 40 quarterback?
Mm-hmm. And when I was sitting there,
that's mine.
Talking to my mom about A-Rod, she doesn't like him because of all the stuff. You know, the stuff.
Oh yeah,
the things.
Probably for the same reasons that I don't like.
But I was telling my mom, it was like it's like what my dad told me. It was like when you had what I just forget. I always blank his name. Bill Romanowski.
Yes,
it's like a Bill Romanowski type of thing, because he was a POS. Man was spitting at people's faces, ending man's careers in practice. But it was like one of those things where if he's on your team, you're not going to hate him. That's your guy.
You love him. Yeah. Broncos country they hated him as a Raider, and then they loved him
as a 49er.
And a 49er, yeah. But loved him as a Bronco.
Because he helped you win.
Exactly.
And that's going to be that's what, if the A-Rod thing does go through, that's what I'm thinking is what it's going to be like. It's like, sure, you're going to have those personal things against him, but he's going to be there to win. He's playing to win. It's not like he's playing there to put your organization into the dirt. When he was on Pat McAfee's show, that's one of my favorite segments as of like the past few years when he's been on. And when he was talking just this past week about after the end of the season, he was talking about how he's like, he wanted to go off on top. He wanted the Peyton Manning, John Elway treatment. Those are the only two quarterbacks he ever mentioned. And then I was like, okay, that's interesting. He didn't mention or I can't think of anybody else, but he didn't mention anybody else. And then this past week, when you heard the rumors throughout the locker room about Devontae and A-Rod talking about Denver, nobody else. It was just Denver. And then the Hackett signing, you go, I'm putting the pieces together right now. This could be possible. But from what he said on Pat McAfee's show, was we might not see a decision until the end of February.
Right. Yeah. So it's nowhere near close. But going back to like the number one thing that I've heard from people with their apprehension of Hackett is that he is a first-time head coach. Well, I think Hackett did a very good job in his introductory press conference of allaying those fears. So again, I'm going to let the tape roll, and Hackett will tell you about his thoughts of being a first-time head coach.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years, there's so much respect, and a lot of people say, what do quality control guys do? And it's everything. I mean, they do everything. I mean, they're the ones behind the scenes that are crunching the numbers, grinding, probably longer than anybody. And so much respect for that position. I always tell coaches, I did it for so long, I would never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself or haven't done. And I think that during that process, when you're in that position for so long, I mean, it's grueling, it's hard, and you get to find out how much you really love this game and how much you're willing to put in, and it gives you a confidence that is unwavering, because if you can grind like that, do the things and try to find unique ways to make things more efficient, and I think it really tests you. And I think I'm glad that I went through all those tests, and I'm glad that I did it for as long as I did, and was very lucky to get that opportunity. But I think, you always have ups and downs like any career. But I think that in the end, this is something that I've always loved. It's in my blood. It's something that I'm just so happy that I've gotten to this spot here with all of y'all.
I like that, what he said there. I wouldn't ask my players to do anything that I wouldn't do. And that's the signs of a good head coach. That's Shanahan. Ooh, excuse me.
You're all right.
A little bit of phlegm.
You're okay. I burped, so.
It was like that's like, when I look back, it's like a Kubiak, Shanahan, Belichick type of thing. I think Belichick said the same thing. He would not ask his players to do anything that he wouldn't do, and it shows. That's what shows. That's why I'm excited. That's what you're going to see things changing in Dove Valley. The mentality of winning and the mentality of trust. The mentality of winning wasn't much on the side of Fangio, of the side of trust. That was the big part about Fangio. And if he could have had both in the mix, we would see him around this year if that went into play this past season.
Right. And I love all your points. I just want to add another one. The biggest thing I took away was the fact that this man watched a first-time head coach that calls the plays and learned from him. Like, this is a big thing that I try to teach my kids. So I'll bring it to y'all too, is that you don't have to just learn from your own mistakes. You can learn from others' mistakes. Exactly. And this is what this man is saying. He's saying that I pay attention to what's going on around me. And when I see what works, I add it. When I see what doesn't work, I cut it out. So that was my biggest takeaway from that, is that the man he knows how it works. He knows how it doesn't work, so he can put the best practices forward, even though he is just a first-time head coach. And real quick, Miss Bird Gang, I appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure, go to The Answers 42 and subscribe as well. Bird Gang Sports Media Network.
Are we back on?
As we are part of? Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. You can see a little BG and SM right up there in the corner. We are back with that. Was just a 1-week hiccup due to some technical difficulties.
And you forgot your phone.
Yeah, and I forgot my phone, so I couldn't get the code. So yeah, all those good things. But yes, we are with them. We are going nowhere. But make sure you give our guys some love. Hit them up with a like and a subscribe, as well as us. And Nika says she loves the Saints, the Packers, and her sister says she likes the Broncos. So we are assuming Nika just likes football. We'll just leave it at that. But
the Saints? No, I'm joking. I like the Saints too.
Yeah. Yep, and you see the wifey agrees. That is Dan's motto. Don't just learn from your mistakes, learn from others' mistakes too. You are 100% right.
I did too. When sure, I was coaching 9 through 15-year-olds, 3 different separate groups. But as that's what
Right.
I took it from my head coach of baseball, who I wasn't a fan of at all. And I learned from his mostly bad things to the little good things and took that into my own account of coaching with it.
And that's the best you can do with bad
Oh,
coaching,
yeah.
honestly. And I love Detrell's idea because it's my idea. This is where my heart lies. I like the young QB to save the cap, use that cap room to add to the holes, just like Peyton did last year. He filled up the holes. That way, when the draft came, it was best player available.
And
That is the
I'm
best way.
trusting him when it comes to the draft, especially after last
Oh,
year. You know,
Draft
that
free agency,
man,
I don't care. I'm trusting the man with everything.
I
Even the
might
head
have some
coaching
trust
now.
issues because after his introductory press conference last year, I trusted the man completely with my life. I was sitting there like, the way he was speaking, I'm like, I'm gonna trust you. I like you.
I'm just gonna trust you. Yep,
And then-
exactly.
And then as soon as draft came around, okay, I'm like, all right, okay. And then season came around, you saw those players go out there, Javante, Pat Surtain. We stand for Surtain.
Yes,
oh
we
my
stand for
gosh.
and
That's when
1,000%.
I was sold on him after the draft and in free agency. But after seeing those guys play this season, all of Peyton's picks were the reasons why they were winning.
Yes. And so on that note, while we're talking about things that, might give some people apprehension with Hackett and stuff, is a lot of people, they hear that he was a quality control coach and they just don't have any clue what that is. So again, we are going to let Hackett explain to you exactly what that is.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years, there's so much respect, and a lot of people say, what do quality control guys do? And it's everything. I mean, they do everything. I mean, they're the ones behind the scenes that are crunching the numbers, grinding, probably longer than anybody. And so much respect for that position. I always tell coaches, I did it for so long, I would never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself or haven't done. And I think that during that process, when you're in that position for so long, I mean, it's grueling, it's hard, and you get to find out how much you really love this game and how much you're willing to put in, and it gives you a confidence that is unwavering, because if you can grind like that, do the things and try to find unique ways to make things more efficient, and I think it really tests you. And I think I'm glad that I went through all those tests, and I'm glad that I did it for as long as I did, and was very lucky to get that opportunity. But I think, you always have ups and downs like any career. But I think that in the end, this is something that I've always loved. It's in my blood. It's something that I'm just so happy that I've gotten to this spot here with all of y'all.
I got back
He's
in time.
back just in time. We just came back. But yes, so there you go. That is what a quality control coach is. And because of that, I wanted to bring that up because a lot of people have been talking about the fact that the Broncos don't have really many quality control coaches and they don't have a passing game coordinator. And these are positions that are being floated as potential being created and brought into Dove Valley, which is a huge thing. They seem like small roles, but they're essentially the gophers that hold everything together.
And that's what Luke Getsy was. One of the people
Yes.
that the Broncos interviewed was Luke Getsy was a passing coordinator and
Yes,
the
who is now
QB coach passing coordinator. Is he
Yeah,
the OC
and he
for
was now
the
the
Bears
OC
now?
for the Bears. Yep.
Okay,
He's the OC for the
I forgot
Bears.
if he ended up there.
Yeah, he chose there because that way he gets to call plays. Because Eberflus was hired. He's a defensive specialist. So that's why that happened there.
And that's the one thing I'm
that's-
excited for about Hackett is he's going to be calling the plays on offense. And
Yes,
we've seen
which
what he
is-
can do down there. He called the plays, if I'm not wrong, in Green Bay. Am I right there?
No.
Was it
LaFleur
LaFleur?
called the plays.
LaFleur called
Yes.
the plays? Okay.
LaFleur
But-
called the plays.
But that's also another exciting thing. Since he didn't get to call the plays, he's saying, I'm going to take the reins over.
Yeah.
And that's,
that's
the confidence is what is key for
Yeah.
me.
That's the only stop that he didn't call plays. In
Yep.
Jacksonville, Buffalo, and Syracuse, he called the plays. So it's not calling plays is not new to him. That's why
No.
another thing I want to point out for people that are scared that he's going to call the plays. Again, he just watched a coach do it successfully, and he's called plays before. This isn't an
And he's seen a
Eric
coach do
Bieniemy-
it unsuccessfully too.
Exactly. And this isn't Eric Bieniemy or Byron Leftwich who have never called plays in their entire career. This man has actually had the play sheet, created game plans, and called the plays on Sunday.
And that's what's
So,
got me
it's not
excited
new.
about Hackett and I was so excited that they didn't hire Bieniemy because a man that's
Yes.
never called plays before, I do not want.
It's scary.
It's scary. And people are saying when they're pulling the race card, which I get, right? I can totally get it there. But the reason I didn't want Bieniemy is because, first off, be a first-time head coach who's never called plays before.
Mm-hmm.
He has never called a play under Andy Reid, ever.
No. I mean, there's been talk that he called plays here and there, but nothing really substantial to make you not worry about it.
I mean, look at the success in Kansas City with Andy Reid calling plays. I bet you could find a stat out there of Bieniemy calling plays to success and Andy Reid calling the plays to success. I wonder if Bieniemy called that interception play.
Right. That's the thing, is that you really don't know. But speaking of offensive philosophies, again, I want to have the coach tell you what he's bringing to Dove Valley, and we'll explain why it should sound familiar.
Okay, so complementary football, I think, I've been very lucky in my career because I played middle linebacker. Not going to say it was very good, but I did get to play middle linebacker, and I was also a long snapper and a short snapper. So that was kind of where the start was. Heck, I started coaching linebackers. That was one of my first jobs that I got for a couple days, and then ended up going back to Stanford. But I coached special teams, I coached defense, I coached offense, and now here I am as an offensive coach in front of you all. And I think it's about understanding those intricacies, understanding what a special teams coach really goes through, what a defensive coach goes through. And when it comes to complementary football, it's about understanding what everybody's going through. And I think that's when we talk about that, is understanding that, hey, offense, in my opinion, it controls the tempo of the game. It controls how aggressive you are, how you ball control, whether you want to take shots, whether you want to run the ball. So I think it's about being able to maneuver that to be able to protect anybody else on the field, because it's about the team. The whole thing's about the team. Whatever we can do to take advantage of the players, that what they do the best, and be able to execute and win the game as a team. So it might not be a lot of offense, it might be more defense, but we have to just work together and understand how those things all link. And I think that's just something that, from my background, understanding all those different worlds, it's really helped me over time. And then from a standpoint of how the offense is, I think first and foremost, any offense that you have, it has to be maneuverable and it has to be adjustable for whoever you have on your team, because it's about finding out what your guys do the best and being able to do that over and over again and taking advantage of their skill sets. So you want to have enough that you can do so many different things and adjust, because, heck, there's injuries. There's nothing you can do about that in football. That's just how it is. And so you have to be able to, like I said, maneuver that. But I think the starting point is outside zone. Outside zone on offense is what you want to do, and you want to base that off a play pass. You want to make the defense cover the entire field. And you want to take shots down the field. Let's all face it, that's what the people in the stands love. They love those bombs down the field. I remember watching John Elway throw the ball down the field to McCaffrey on all those boot fakes. That was unbelievable. This is really where this system kind of evolved from and was created. And so you're always looking for that. And then mixing in that West Coast principle of the drop-back game. So that's how we'll kind of go about it. That's kind of a quick summary. So many fun things to talk about with the offense.
Man, that's some good stuff there. And I took a screenshot of that resume during the press conference a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very impressive resume, right?
It really is.
Really impressive.
But the thing I want to point out is what should sound familiar to you all. Outside zone, West Coast offense. Why should that sound familiar to Broncos country? Because that is what Mike Shanahan ran, and that is what Kyle Shanahan runs.
It's really it shouldn't be called West Coast offense. Outside zone, it should just be called Shanahan playbook.
It really goes all the way back to Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh is where it started. Shanahan came from that tree, and that's where he's the one that took the outside zone and mixed it with the West Coast offense that created the unbelievable running game that it didn't matter who was in the backfield. They were going for 1,000 yards.
Because look at those old 49er teams. Oh, go for it.
Oh, sorry. No, I just wanted to give some shout outs for some people that are in the stream that I haven't seen before. So I appreciate y'all coming in. They're all from Twitch. I love this, guys. I love it. Broke my stream deck. I appreciate you. Droop Dog with 3 G's. You, my dog. I appreciate you. I don't know how to say this, but for Weeds Kitten, FRW33DS_kitten. Thank you for coming in. Lurkin_Miku. Appreciate you. Nerdy Dreams and Sticks FFXIV. Whatever that is, I don't care. I appreciate y'all. So y'all keep killing the Twitch. I love it. I love it. We got people over in our The Answer is 42 Media Facebook page checking in. We appreciate you. On my personal page, we appreciate you. So y'all keep killing it. While I'm speaking of that, I just was looking over numbers. Y'all have been destroying it, Tay 42 fam. I need to let y'all know how much I love y'all. I've been looking over the videos for January. January, we are rocking, y'all. We have had the largest viewership and the most engagements ever since we started this in January with no football.
Yeah, right. And we started this back. I joined on the Breakin Broncos back in week 3 in September, week 3,
Yes.
week 4, one of the two.
Yep.
It's been
Yeah,
wow.
saying,
It's been that long.
Yeah, we are in episode 17. Of the reboot, because I mean I did have a couple of episodes before I brought Dylan on that we will not speak of. But
the solo cast.
Yeah, the solo cast. But ever since we've been here with Devin, this is episode number 17 in a row. We've been killing it, and it's been getting better every single week. We have yet to dip in viewership. We have only gone up. So that is all 1,000% thanks to the Tay 42 fam. So great on y'all. Y'all are epic. We love y'all. Keep it up. But yes, we had some great things here. Natrell posted up about she's excited for the draft and can't wait to do a pre and post show. I actually have a little something better for you, and I want to pitch it to my partner right here on live, right for y'all. Exclusive content. Yes, it is. I want to do a full reaction show. I want to do the whole damn draft, all 3 days, every single pick. You with me?
I think I might be able to fit that in.
Hell yeah.
We'll have
then
to
there
figure
it is.
Whatever I have going on in the
figure it out.
future. We'll figure it out.
Right. I mean, it's a ways, but I think it's going to be epic. So yes, there you guys go.
I'm with high planes until March as of that I know of right now.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, we'll figure it out. But instead of just a pre and a post show and just talking about the Broncos, we are going to do the whole damn draft, all 7 rounds, all 3 days, all 17 hours worth of coverage.
Because this draft is going to be very interesting because it's not going to be a year of a quarterback. It's going to be a year of skill players, position players. Right. We're going to see a lot of O-linemen going out. We're going to see a lot of receivers, running backs, defensive linemen, pass rush, corners, linebackers.
And the defense is stacked in this draft.
I want that D lineman. I forgot the kid's name from Georgia, that D lineman, that defensive tack. I forgot his name that had the strip stack in the beginning of the Natty game that got called back.
Oh, yes.
I forgot his name, but I know he will drop that far to the Broncos, and I would love to see him be taken.
He could. Oh, he will definitely drop to at least 9. But again, I mean, that's the thing that's so intriguing about this draft is we don't know if the Broncos are going to pick at 9. No. They might not pick for the first 2 days of the draft, depending upon the trades and things that might happen. But again, I go A-Rod, Russell Wilson.
Jimmy G, I'm joking. That's a joke. Please. That's a joke.
I know you're joking, but there are some people in Broncos country that are really trying to get people.
That man ruined Deebo Samuel's year, dude. He carried that team.
Oh my God.
Deebo Samuel carried that team.
How do you not give it to Deebo Samuel in the last 12 and a half minutes? Bro, that man didn't touch it once in the last 12 and a half minutes. If he had it on
that pass that was dropped that lost him the game, if Deebo would have caught that and took it.
Yes, draft is going to be epic. But
that's the one where you wish you could have got Deebo in the draft.
Yes.
But I'm so happy with our picks.
But before we get too far into the draft, because again, we got all times of time, and I promise y'all, we are going to give y'all all the NFL draft coverage y'all could want as the offseason progresses. So we'll leave those for those.
Quick. This was it has not too far, but it was back on in his interview. He's like, trust goes both ways, right? Trust goes both ways. And that's what I'm excited for because, it's really going to be on the vets trust that are going to put their trust into him, right? These younger guys, they can easily put their trust in. But if the vets are going to be there, listen, Nate, I want to name 3 defensive vets right there. Shelby Harris, Justin Simmons, and I can't say Kareem Jackson because it's contract year. But if he does come back, it is a Kareem Jackson. The 3 vets on the D. If those 3 can place their trust into Hackett, you're going to see the rest of that team go out there. The team leaders place trust in Hackett, the rest of the team's going to follow along.
That's exactly how it should work. You're 1,000% correct, and every one of your points is right on point.
Because that's how it was with Shanahan. When Shanahan came in, Johnny trusted him right away.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's all about getting the veterans to buy in, because once you can get them to buy in, everyone else falls in line. And
there's not a lot of bets on the offense.
That's exactly what Hackett. Well, I mean, there's still some that you got Garrett
Bowles
and stuff like. And speaking of Garrett Bowles,
Timmy P.
This is the whole offensive philosophy that we're talking about should really be exciting for you because of your guy Garrett Bowles and our guy Dalton Reisner.
I mean, I like Garrett Bowles.
You got more affinity for him than
I like Garrett Bowles, especially the way he's turned his career around. Didn't have the perfect year this year compared to last season, but it wasn't as bad as his first three.
But I do believe, again, that has a lot to do with scheme. And that's why this should be exciting, because this is the scheme that man and Dalton Reisner were drafted for. This is the
Dalton
exact
Reisner ran it at K-State.
That it exemplifies their athleticism. And it should also help Lloyd Cushenberry, who came out of an outside zone West Coast type offense down in LSU. And then was thrust into a power scheme, which was completely out of his capability because he's not a big center. He's a smaller, more athletic center. So, and really the only offensive lineman that this is bad for is Natani Moody and probably Quinn Miners. Miners, I'd have to see more of his athleticism. From the small tidbits we've seen, he looks like he might be athletic enough.
He is just great at running people over.
Right. But in a zone scheme, it's not about running people over. It's about getting people moving laterally and then just kind of pushing them in that way. So that's why you never saw a Shanahan or either Mike or Kyle draft an offensive lineman high, because their type of offensive lineman gets drafted low. They're the ones that are overlooked. They're the undersized guys, the ones that might not put up the biggest number in the bench press, but they have a really high RAS score. So for those of you that haven't been around and don't know what the RAS score is, it's something that I talk about a lot. It's one of my favorite stats in the world when it comes to prospects. What it does is it takes all of their measurables from the combine, like the short cone drill, the shuttle drill, the 40 time and all that. And then it takes their size into account and compares them essentially to other people their size. And it puts them on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0 being the worst of how athletic they are. It's about the most layman way I could break that down.
Yeah. And when I'm looking at, like, a lot of people don't really get to see the athleticism of Dalton Reisner and Garrett Bowles. Those guys are athletes.
Yes.
They may be big, but they can move. Like watching Garrett Bowles on a screen, him on a screen, the man he's quick for an O lineman, and he can hit. And a lot of people don't really get to know about Dalton Reisner, though, because I got to see that guy play in high school. The man was the biggest guy out there, and he was still able to just move. There's only one guy that was bigger than him, but he couldn't move like him, and it was Ryan Krogman. Yeah. The man was a monster.
He had the second fastest 40 time of offensive linemen when he came out in the combine. So that right there should tell you, that should tell you just how athletic he is.
We got to see tidbits of him with Denver, like throwing Philip Lindsay in the end zone. That was great.
Right. To give an example that just recently happened to let y'all know why athleticism of a tackle and guard are important in the West Coast and outside zone scheme, you just have to go back and look at the highlight reels of Trent Williams over the last 2 weeks of him pulling
my God,
all the way from the left side, all the way around to lead block on an outside.
That should not happen. Dude.
No,
Trent Williams is a monster.
Yeah, and he's even bigger than Bowl. Like he's like 340, 350 pounds and like 6'8".
He's like he's like the offense version of BJ Raji, dude.
Yes, exactly. He's that dancing bear, as I like to call him. You know,
never forget BJ Raji's pick six, or as they called it,
right?
Snack six.
Yeah, snack six, yes.
The freezer.
Again, talking about Hackett and his journey and things, I would also like to show y'all Hackett breaking down his journey to, again, give you his bona fides, and maybe alleviate you of some of the trepidations you might have had going forward. So again, here's Coach Hackett.
John Elway, I really want that jersey, please. I'm not joking. But just this whole organization has been unbelievable. And then my journey to the man that you see today. I mean, from UC Davis, Mark Johnson, Fred Arp, dang, Aggie pride, y'all. It was a great time being there. To my experience at Stanford, where I got to meet my wife. You look at going to Tampa, being with Richard Mann, one of the best ever, Joey Galloway, those guys that mean so much to me, Ike Hilliard, the players, because it's about the players, y'all. And it's like, that's what makes these things special. And all the people that have affected me has made me the man that I am. I mean, you go all the way to Buffalo with Alex Van Pelt, Fred Jackson, E. Wood, Robert Woods, Lee Smith, so many guys that mean so much to me. You look at the experience at Syracuse when Doug Marrone gives this quality control guy a chance to be a coordinator. I mean, who would have thought? And we were able to get to Syracuse and do some great things with Alec Lemon, Ryan Nassib, Justin Pugh, just these guys that are just great people. And then you are all of a sudden back at Buffalo, going to Jacksonville. I mean, that 2017 season was unbelievable. And it was about those guys working together and believing in each other. And I thought that was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen, especially when nobody expects you to do anything, and then you rally together as one and as a group and are able to do something special. That the fact that I got to be part of that and be there with those guys and watch them execute and be who they are, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, that experience there. And then you go to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, I'm telling you, the Green Bay Packers, what a great organization. Amazing place to be. Amazing people. I mean, the people I got to work with, Matt LaFleur, I mean, I will thank him forever. I'm going to make a run at being the sexiest coach in the NFL against him. I mean, the things that he taught me, the things that he allowed me to do, the person he let me be, and the staff that we got to hire. And I realized how important a great staff is, because a great staff and the group that you're going to be with, I mean, it's the foundation, the people you work with every day, like George. I mean, that's what this whole thing's about. Everybody, the PR people, anybody that's here, all you guys, because it takes all of us to make a great organization. And that's what the Green Bay Packers were, and that's what we're going to do here.
What really I found funny is a lot of people, that joke flew right over their heads about beating them for the sexiest coach in the league.
I know. You should.
A lot of people thought that was so stupid, bro. I'm like, dude, it's sarcasm. How did that fly right over your head?
Right. It's because LaFleur just got voted. It was funny when I was cutting this video up. When that came on, my wife was in the room with me, and that came on, and she just kind of takes a double take. I'm like, it's just a joke because LaFleur just got voted as the sexiest coach in the NFL. So he was just kind of taking a little fun jab at his buddy, Matt LaFleur. That's all that was.
I can't believe that flew over people's heads. But no, that's a lot of another good points.
They really thought he was serious.
Yeah, a lot of another good points there is the nice thing about Hackett, right? When you look at John Elway's past coaches, defense, right? But those were his guys because, that's all the tape he watched was defense. He never watched any offense. But when you get a neutral guy like George Paton who can find the right, not just defense, offense, the right guy, the right person is awesome. And it shows in that speech. But I also find it funny that some of the greatest, it's really helps to be a coach in the NFL if you're a father, I think. They're just like your kids. They're just a bunch of big kids.
Yeah. It's just, I agree. I think it's a lot of the thought. I've never really thought about that before, actually. Yeah. Now that I think it really does kind of give you a leg up. You get a chance to see what's hip, what's trending through your kids. So that way once you realize how to connect with your kid, then you automatically realize how to connect with the kids in the locker room. So yeah,
it's like Saban said that he's because he's dealing with kids, right? Those are kids going into college. And he's like, obviously those are kids going to college, but in the NFL, they're just big kids. And they're just playing football.
Right. Yeah, it was just speaking about the sexy coach. That's not something done by the NFL. Just to be clear, it looks like a little confusion there. That was done by I think it was Forbes. Time magazine, the sexiest man alive. Yeah. They did a version of that with the coaches, and they ranked the coaches from the sexiest
never forget
to the least sexiest.
Never forget. It's a man that we will never speak of, but I just had to bring this up. John Gruden was in the top 15 of the sexiest man magazine.
Well, when you look at this pool of coaches,
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is to bring up Fangio was dead last, by the way, which means that he was uglier than Belichick, Bruce Arians, and the rest.
I get Bruce Arians, but Belichick?
I know, but I mean, Fangio kind of looks like an Italian gremlin. I'm
I
not trying to be. I love Fangio. I'm just saying, brother. I'm just.
I would
saying.
have thought Seven Stefanski would have won that.
I think he was like 2. I think it was like LaFleur, Stefanski. Like they went 1 and 2. Like that was right there. But yeah, I remember because like I watched Tom Grossi. Right, because I watched Tom Grossi, and those that have ever watched Grossi, they know he's a huge Packers fan. And so, like, his thing since LaFleur got hired was that he was the sexiest coach in the league. And then finally, he was like, "I'm vindicated." He did like a whole video on being vindicated for calling LaFleur the sexiest coach in the league. It was pretty funny, but that's why
I ain't ducking the man. He is pretty attractive. I'll say it.
Hey man, he's a pretty dude. I don't care. You know, you ain't got.
I like how he keeps the 5 o'clock shadow beard, doesn't grow it out.
There you go. I'll leave that up, and y'all can question what my sexuality is. Right there. How about that?
Both. No.
Both. Right. I swing both ways. I'm a switch hitter. What can I say? No. Just but no. Getting back to coaches and away from the sexiness. Speaking of,
as much as we love to talk about it.
Right. Speaking of X's and O's, we've talked about what kind of schemes. Well, who's going to implement those schemes, right? Mm-hmm. So who are the offensive coaching or offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator candidates that we know of? Right now, it seems to be that there's going to be a bit of an inexperienced staff. For offensive coordinator, the first 3 candidates have been either blocked or went somewhere else. Luke Getsy was rumored. He, as we stated earlier, went to the Bears as their offensive coordinator where he can call plays, because in Denver, he would not call plays. Mm-hmm. Then there was was it Stefanski, the offensive line coach for the Packers. He was blocked and then promoted to the offensive coordinator with the Packers. The Packers also blocked the Broncos from interviewing their tight ends coach. So he's not going to be it. They just interviewed the Chargers tight end coach, Koger. Oh shoot, who was the other guy? It's leaving my head. I got to pull it up here.
You know, what was it, Koger? How do you say it?
I think it's Koger. It's Koger, the tight ends coach of the Chargers.
Koger, yeah, I think that's right. You know, that wouldn't be a bad choice, right? Bring in a first-time, if you're going to bring in a first-time head coach who was an offensive coordinator, bring in a first-time offensive coordinator. Let him learn, right? You know, he's not going to be calling plays, but let him learn. Let him drop his own schemes.
Why are people worried about who the OC is?
They're have an OC as a head coach.
Exactly. The play caller's the head coach. And that's why I love the fact that they got Nathaniel. Because again, unlike if you would have got a Dan Quinn and say he went out and somehow miraculously got Kyle Shanahan to allow him to take McDaniels as his offensive coordinator.
Or get the Rams OC somehow.
Right. But what I'm saying, why I bring up Dan Quinn is very specifically because if he gets McDaniels, how many years is it before he's off to be a head coach?
Yep.
Well, with Nathaniel Hackett as the play caller, you never lose your play caller. Now, if he goes and gets a defensive coordinator, that's great. You might lose him, but again, you can replace him. Maybe not be the greatest replacement, but again, if you have a great offense, the defense can, lag behind a little bit, as we've seen with both the Bengals and the Rams riding their offenses
and a former Broncos team the year they lost to the Seahawks in Super Bowl 48. That defense was bad, ladies and gentlemen. That defense was atrociously bad.
It was not good at all. That was just a career year from Peyton Manning and a Hall of Fame quarterback doing his thing.
And then the next year you bring in DeMarcus Ware, TJ Ward, Aqib Talib, and then you start to build things, and then finally Super Bowl 50 year 2015, it came together, and that's kind of like what we're seeing here with the Broncos offense as of now. Broncos always did not have the greatest defenses before Peyton came in. And then once the Super Bowl 50 defense was great, now the offense is bad. We're kind of going on a loop. It's kind of like the same thing with the defense. We're finally putting the pieces together for the offense. We've seen shines of hope, and now we're going to try and see that accumulate into this season and possibly next season.
Right, most definitely. Real quick shout out again. Just saw another person I haven't seen before. Dinah Terra, Twitch. Appreciate you for coming in and checking us out. As always, we love new people. Please keep coming and tell your friends. But sorry, just got the other name that I couldn't think of. It was just reported Zach Azani might be in the running for offensive coordinator as well.
Yeah,
because they had two other coaches blocked. So now it's essentially down to Koger or Azani.
Where's Azani at again?
Zach Azani, he's the Broncos wide receiver coach for the last couple of years.
Oh, okay. That's what that name's super familiar to me. I'm like, why do I know that name so well?
So out of those two, I say keep the guy in house. I mean, I do like Koger, what he did in LA with the tight ends. Cause I mean, he had Jared Cook, who's ancient at this point, go off and be second in the team in receptions, yards, touchdowns.
And then got hurt last night.
Oh, jeez, it's ridiculous. The
fact they won that game is amazing.
So yeah, really out of those two, I'm going to say just stick with Azani. Keep it, he has a rapport with the wide receivers, and you can keep him. You can give him both the passing game coordinator role as well as OC and wide receivers coach.
Because
he nailed 3 and 1.
The wide receivers love him.
Right.
Courts praised him. Timmy P. Jerry has.
Every one of the receivers absolutely loves Zach Azani. So why not?
We might not have a Jerry Jeudy this season if things go the way it sounds.
It's possible, Jerry Jeudy might get in. Again, we'll get into that once we start talking about Rodgers here at the end. But real quick, the ones that I'm excited about, because again, we already know the offensive philosophy that's going to come in. A lot of consternation was made. Well, whoever you hire, what is that going to change on the defense that was actually the strength of the team? Another reason why I love Hackett's hire is that unlike Dan Quinn, who would bring in a completely different defensive scheme that would cause the Broncos to essentially gut the defensive roster and rebuild from scratch. There's almost nobody on that defense that would be conducive to Dan Quinn's defense. So with Hackett coming in, all of these possibilities of defensive coordinator candidates are going to bring that same defense. They are all understudies of Vic Fangio or 3-4 attack style match zone defenses. Those candidates are Jairo Avero. I hope I said that right. I've heard it say
I think you did say it like that. I think it is right.
He is the passing game coordinator secondary coach for the Los Angeles Rams. I know it's a weird title to have both of those, but he actually played with Nathaniel Hackett at UC Davis. So you can see the obvious connection there. They've been they were roommates in college. They've been best friends ever since. And so, I would love to see, I love the fact that he studied under Vic Fangio and Brandon Staley and Wade Phillips. This man has had the tutoring of the masters.
Like the three best defensive minds.
Exactly, that we know of today. And he's been under all three of them. So he's my favorite, but there is an in-house candidate, Christian Parker, the secondary coach, the man that was able to take that secondary that was decimated this year and still pump out an above average secondary, stopping even players like Mahomes with guys like Michael Ojemudia, Nate Hairston, and things and guys of that nature. So
man, I wish
they
would just look into Wade Phillips.
Oh, hold on. I don't know.
I wish they could look into Wade Phillips a bit. We never know if they will, but I would like to see.
There has been some possible reports. There's nothing been guaranteed, or this is why I don't really want to talk about it too much. There's been some whispers. I don't have anything definitive or that I can confirm. So again, this is pure speculation. So nobody take this with anything other than a grain of salt. Is that there has been possible talks of bringing in Wade Phillips because of the inexperience of every other coach on the roster.
Yep.
But there's another candidate that's got me a little bit intrigued, which is Gerard Mayo, linebackers coach of New England, who they just interviewed for the head coach position.
Yeah.
But a lot like we just talked about with Mike Munchak on the last round, he was brought in and then brought in as a position coach. Well, this would be not just a position coach move for Gerard Mayo. It would be upgrade, promotion There we go. That's what I was looking for. He'd go from linebackers coach in New England to defensive coordinator, who again, Gerard Mayo has been played under and then was a student under Bill Belichick, again, one of the best defensive coaches in the game that ran mostly a 3-4 scheme. So those candidates all, and I'm sorry, Anthony Weaver, the one you mentioned earlier from the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep,
Another
Weaver,
guy.
that was his name.
Yeah, he's steeped in the 3-4 attack style defense. So any one of these candidates would be a perfect match to the roster.
Yeah.
They all run the same type of scheme that Fangio ran. They'd obviously have their own little wrinkles because they're their own men. But it would not cost the Broncos anything when it comes to having to take anybody from the roster and then rebuild a defense that already has pretty much all the pieces as long as you bring in the right scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're excited. This is just to really give you everything of why we are so excited to have Nathaniel Hackett, because not only is he going to bring a fresh perspective, but he is going to bring tried and true methods that have worked at not only every stop he's been at, but essentially every stop that these philosophies have been implemented.
And I think I kind of said it a bit earlier, but I didn't really get to say much into it. The nice thing is that this is George Payton's guy. This isn't a John Elway guy. This is all George
1000%.
Payton.
Yes.
And it's nice because he did not interfere at all. And he promised he wouldn't when he stepped down, and he's holding to his word. He's keeping his word.
It's what I said earlier. These two guys are attached at the hip. They gave Hackett a 4-year contract. Payton now has 5 years left on the 6-year deal he signed last year.
We might be looking more to 5 if he keeps it up.
Yeah. I mean, if these guys do what we believe and hope they will do, this should be a GM coaching pairing on the level of what you've seen in New England, of what you've seen in Baltimore, with Ozzie Newsome and John Harbaugh. And
isn't it Belichick's GM?
He is now, but he started out with, was it Polian or Pioli or whatever his name is? The guy that's in Houston now. Yeah, Polian. There you go.
Bill Polian.
That's where, he started, he started there with him, and then he ended up taking over after they had a bit of a power struggle. But again, it's, just the comparison of how long, those things can happen when you get the right guys at the right age.
Comparison, I guess.
Good.
It was good for the season. We'll say a John Elway, Gary Kubiak.
Yeah. Or actually, even this one just hit me. Colbert and both Cowher and Tomlin.
Oh yeah.
He's just stepping down. He will be stepping down after the draft.
Of a career.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was in Pittsburgh for like almost 30 years as
he was GM. There for most of those.
For every Super Bowl after 1980, he was a part of. Every Super Bowl they won, he created after 1980. So, So that tells you what, the possibilities of what this tandem of Payton and Hackett can do, especially if they can hit the third part of that triumvirate that was in New England for so long, which is finding their quarterback. So speaking of the quarterback and coaching situations, I have one more video here for you. If I can find it anyways. Where'd you go, guy? QB. Oh, here we go. Sorry. All right. This is Hackett on the QB and coaching situations here in Dove Valley.
I think right now, just getting here on this day, I think there's so many things that we're going to talk about. I think we've discussed all kinds of different things, and I think now that this whole thing is official, and I'm so excited to sit down and go through it all, from the entire staff, from everything. So those are all things, the quarterback position, all that stuff. We're going to sit down. I mean, George is a great guy to talk to, and I imagine we'll talk for a long time about everything.
So, and we're back here without Dylan for a second. He'll be back. There he goes. All right. But with that being said, you've seen, he has not made any decisions. For all these people that are consternating about, he's immediately going to go get Aaron Rodgers. He just told you right there. I have not been here long enough to determine who needs to say, who needs to go, whether or not we have the quarterback on the roster. So this is why I want to bring this up, is I want to cool everybody's heels. Hackett's hiring means nothing absolutely nothing when it comes to whether or not the Broncos are going to go after Aaron Rodgers. The absolute abject stupidity of hiring a coach with the hope that he might bring a quarterback with him is absolutely asinine.
It played no factor.
No, none whatsoever. If I had any inkling that Peyton hired Hackett simply because he thinks it'll get him Rodgers, I would be done. I would be calling Peyton an idiot. I would never trust him again. That's how egregious that thought process is, to think that George Payton would be that ignorant to think that the best plan is to hope.
And the fact that he spent 10 hours on his second interview with him in the Valley shows you that it wasn't all about Aaron Rodgers. Sure, it's like now after the hire, it's like, I mean, if we could get him, great.
Right.
It's like, if you can get him, that's great. But that's not the plan.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying, man. It's if they get him, that's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
The reason Peyton hired Hackett was because Hackett was the best man for the job in his opinion. And his opinion is the only one that matters.
And we've seen hints out there, it's like a presser from back in November of him praising Hackett, of Rodgers praising Hackett, where he's saying, he's a great guy. He should have had a head coaching job years ago.
Long time
and saying the reason people thought he got hired for Aaron Rodgers was because he said in that Aaron Rodgers said in the press conference, he goes, I hope he goes somewhere, but not before. Hopefully he goes somewhere before I go there.
Right. The only thing that this move makes easier would be a possible transition of Rodgers from Green Bay to Denver. That's it. That's the only difference, is that it's a little bit easier if he came to Denver with Nathaniel Hackett than if he came to Denver with, say, a Dan Quinn or a Kevin O'Connell or really any of the other candidates. That's why it's just lazy dot connecting of dots that aren't there.
If Aaron Rodgers was a free agent right now, it would be so much different.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And this is the thing that I try to jump on people for. Like, one of the guys that I've jumped on a lot is from 104.35, James Marilat. Because
we've talked about him quite a bit.
Yes. This jerk off has done nothing but just say, this is literally his tweets, Aaron Rodgers is coming. It just makes too much sense. That's it. There's no context. There's no telling. He acts like Rodgers is a free agent and that the Broncos can just decide that they want him.
Like, it's like
indication. Go ahead.
It's like you said, if Aaron Rodgers comes in, it's icing on the cake, right? And what cherry on top is? A Devontae Adams free agency.
Right. But again, for everybody that wants to see that, and then their thing is, they have salary cap space and they have okay. So explain to me how you keep the young talent and the cap space after you make a trade for two of the best players in the entire NFL. Please explain to me how you keep both, because you got to get rid of at least one, if not both.
Yep.
Because you got to re-sign Devontae Adams, who's not going to take a haircut deal. If he's not going to take a haircut in Green Bay, why the hell would he in Denver?
Yeah.
Even if we get Rodgers, why would he take it? Because if he was going to take a discount to stay with Rodgers, why wouldn't they just do it in Green Bay? Y'all's logic does not work.
Devontae Adams will not take a franchise tag. He said it.
No,
no player wants a franchise tag.
No, it's no guarantee. Yes, you get a guarantee of like a high amount for 1 year, but they want the long-term guarantee. They want guarantees over multiple years, not just one very large guarantee over 1 year.
Like the fact that
take it spread out.
Like the fact that the Broncos were able to re-sign Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton in a year is insane. You're losing people because of it.
Exactly.
Like, we're not going to see Kareem Jackson come back this year unless he takes another pay cut and decides to come back another year, which isn't out of the wind. Yeah, I bet you he would. He wants to be in Denver. Sorry.
No, 1,000. No, you're good. I just want to
Yeah.
do a quick exercise. Okay, let's pretend that the trade happens. The Broncos, the Packers end up tagging Devontae Adams, and they trade both Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to the Broncos. Okay, what would that take? Let me break it down. Number one, you're trading for two guys that together are going to make about $50 million against the cap in just the first year. How much cap room does the Broncos have? Currently, they have $46 million. You can't take on $50 million of salary if you only got $46 million.
Yep.
So what do you have to do? You have to offset those contracts, because not only do you have to make up that extra $4 million, but you also need at least $7 million to $8 million for signing your draft class. And you also need you're going to need free agents, because not only are you trading for all of that cap hit, you're also going to be giving up young talent, because there's no way that Green Bay is just going to take draft picks that aren't guaranteed. They're lottery picks. You never know what you're going to get, especially if you have a GM like Gutekunst, who isn't the greatest in the world. So you don't know who you're going to get. So they're going to want proven young talent back. And you also have to offset that money. So
and
for all
that
you
means
thinking that the Rodgers are going to the Broncos are going to get Rodgers, Adams, Sutton, Judy, and Patrick, you're out of your mind, and you need to stop talking about football, because you have absolutely no goddamn idea what you're talking about.
the thing,
because there's no way.
I've talked about the trade with you, and we talked about it off show and on show, is the trade to get Rodgers is going to be at least 2 first rounds, a second, couple seconds, and at least a third with Jerry Judy. At least 3 first rounders. Yeah, 3 ones.
Yeah, 3 ones to
a
start.
second and a third at least. That's
At least. Yes.
And a
So
Jerry
that means-
Judy.
Right. And then you throw in Devontae Adams. So now you're going to have to give up a Cortland Sutton, because you can't pay Adams and
Nope.
Sutton.
You
And you're
could.
gonna give up Jerry-
It's either a Cortland Sutton or a Timmy P. One of the two.
Well, actually, when you look at the numbers, it's going to have to be Cortland Sutton,
Yeah.
because of how you can't have 2 wide receivers making almost either close to or over $20 million a year. That's
what I was
you
saying. Like,
can't
you're
do
getting
it.
one of them's gone.
Yeah, and it has to be Sutton. And if you're the Packers, who do you choose? Judy or Patrick or Hamler? I'm taking Judy. He's younger.
yeah.
He's on a smaller contract. You get more cap relief. So there's 2 of your wide receivers gone, Sutton and Judy. We ain't done yet. That's 3 ones, a 2, a 3. 2 of your best offensive players on an offense that was absolutely abysmal. All right, so you're going to give up those 2 guys. They're also going to want probably a young offensive lineman. So either Dalton Reisner or Natani Moody are gone.
Keep in mind, this is with
Still-
both. This is not just Aaron Rodgers. This is both.
this is for Adam. This
Yeah.
is for Adams and Rodgers. Okay, so we've got 2 wide receivers, an offensive lineman, and we're still not done. Yes, we are going this. This is how much you're going to need. Then they're probably also going to want some defensive pieces, and they really need some secondary. So I'm not going to tell you that they're going to get Pat Surtain. That's not going to happen.
No.
Surtain's off the table.
Pat Surtain.
OJ Mudia.
Yeah, Pat Surtain and Justin Simmons will not be included.
Yeah, they'll be off the table.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of the guys that you can guarantee aren't going anywhere. But you could also lose a Baron Browning, a linebacker that everybody really loved,
Or
He's
Jonathan
young.
Cooper.
Yeah, Jonathan Cooper. I don't know if he'd be enough. I mean, you could probably put him as a throwaway, like maybe give them both of those guys, and they'd probably be happy. So that's what you're looking at. And this is at minimum to get these 2 guys. That's 3-1. And then actually with Adams, you're probably going to have to throw in some more. You're going to have to throw in another first round pick. So that's 4 first rounders. You're going to have to throw in probably a third on top of that. So that's 4 first rounders, a second rounder, 2 third rounders, 2 wide receivers, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, and a cornerback. That's how big of a deal that you would need to get both of those guys.
But let's
So
go
tell
back.
me-
If it's just A-Rod, we've talked about this. If it's just A-Rod, you're throwing 3 to 2 first rounders, one of the 2 for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
If it's just Aaron Rodgers, I would say
just Aaron
minimum's
Rodgers.
2. Minimum's 2 if
minimum's
it's just
2,
A-Rod.
but most likely 3 because
Most likely 3 and a second and a third. You're giving up
Yes.
at least 4 picks.
and a Jerry Judy or some
And a
other
Jerry
young
Jeudy.
talent,
And
and
you're not
probably
giving-
Drew Lock.
Which is deal.
I mean, expected. Yeah, deal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And that's the best deal you could get for just an Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers.
and that's my problem is you're giving up your best assets for the next 3 years for maybe 3 to 4 years of a quarterback. If I'm going to give up that much, I'm going to get a Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Because then I'm going to have at least 6 to 8 years of top tier quarterback play. I know
Because what year is he in right now?
He is 31 years old. He'll be 32
Because his
soon.
first season was the 2012 season, I believe.
Yes, I believe. Let's see, Russell.
2012, 2013. That was his first season, if I'm not wrong.
He is 33 years old. I apologize. I was off by a little bit.
He was drafted late.
Yeah. Well, he actually got drafted by the Rockies, went and played baseball for a couple years. Out of college, he got drafted by the Rockies, went and played baseball for a couple years, found out he couldn't hit a curve, and unlike Tebow, didn't keep trying to hit the curve, so he went back to college, went to Wisconsin because he still had some football eligibility, and then came back out. So yeah, he was a little bit older of a rookie, but I mean, still he's.
But the man can still move.
Yeah, and I mean, at 33 years old, with today's quarterbacks, that's at least 6 more years.
And that's
so you're getting at least twice as long. Yeah,
we're gonna get prime
years.
Russ.
Yes, where he's gotten. It's like everybody talked about with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. As they got older, they got better. Russell Wilson has too. I know he had an off year with an absolutely horrible offense.
And then the thumb injuries
him
didn't help.
Yeah, the injuries, everything else. So as much as y'all want to consternate that Russ fell off, shut up. Just please shut up.
Tom Brady's still in his prime. Dude, Tom Brady's just starting his prime right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
It's going to be his first year in prime. Dude,
Speaking of Tom Brady,
I was going to say,
how great is it going to be?
I was going to say, how baller of a move if he comes back. Somebody leaked his retirement, and he's like,
yes,
nah, screw that. I'm going to come back and just wins the Super Bowl.
That's my thing. Like, I can't wait to see whether or not Adam Schefter gets retired because of this crap.
Bro, he should not be. After the crap he pulled season and this season,
yes,
he should not have a job.
No, and I mean it's not even. I mean it's been multiple things. Like I put it on Twitter. It's like we told y'all when the Aaron Rodgers situation happened last year before the draft to be careful of this man. Then you saw it in October of 2021 when the whole scandal came out when we were talking about John Gruden. Well, a lot of people skimmed over the fact that Adam Schefter was in those emails. And one of those emails that he sent was the fact that he sent to the GM of the Redskins at the time an email with a story before he published it with the title, Mr. Editor. And then in the body of the email said, let me know if there's anything you would like to add, remove, or tweak before publishing. That is not
the old
journalism.
Washington racial slurs.
Yes. That is not, that broke every rule of journalism that has ever been created.
That's what I've always followed.
Has zero integrity.
I follow Schefter on Twitter just to see what the crap he's going to post, right? But I'm not believing anything I say until I see a Rappaport post something.
Yes.
Or Jeff Legwold.
Mason, Jeff Legwold, exactly. Like we don't say these just because like these are our friends or we have a personal relationship. We don't. Like I've emailed Jeff Legwold a couple of times. I met him once.
We've met him.
That's it.
Trusted
we're
not Shapiro,
biased.
God rest his soul, rest in peace.
Yes, I was just talking about that. About a back and forth that me and him had a couple of weeks before he died, on Twitter. Like it was an amicable back and forth. It was about the OT rules, but yeah, it's kind of sad that I know that.
Do you want to go over some OT rules real quick? Well, what do you want to see OT go?
Do you
want to keep it the same?
Yeah, I don't want anything done. I'm good. I don't need any changes.
I would say the only thing I would like to see. I'm not saying it will ever happen. I think it would be interesting. Just play one more full quarter. Why not throw it in there? But I'm okay with overtime rules, though.
That might be the best idea I've heard. Just some of the retardation, like turning it into a 7-on-7 game. Like I get the problem with making it another game is because
not even full 15, like a 10-minute quarter.
Right. But the thing is, like people got to understand that TV matters in football. Okay. Mm-hmm. When TV blocks off a time period for football, yes, it's a money-making time period, but they have other things that they need to broadcast. They have other obligations and
shows.
promises that they've made. They've got, ads they got to run, things of that nature. So when a game goes into overtime, the reason they call it free football is because it's free for us, but it costs them money. Every moment that a game goes over, it costs them money on shows that they can't run. And it completely
Let's just move
screws
football
up
over
their
to
schedule.
Twitch, Hulu, whatever, every other live streaming service. Save so
Right.
much time, and you make double the money probably. Because half the people aren't buying cable anymore or buying these packages. People
the problem
are buying
is the money in
networks.
TV is just too big right now. It's not big enough. Now, once things switch and streaming services have the money and pull,
and they're on the rise. They're closer than ever.
Exactly. You see that there's live TV and live sports on Hulu and Amazon
TV.
Prime, YouTube TV. My
Even
cable company.
Twitch.
Companies, what I use DirecTV Stream. That's how I get Altitude.
I use
That's
Dish,
literally-
dude. Dish is awful. We need to get rid of it.
I've heard stories, but I don't have a dish. I have DirecTV Stream. So it's literally a streaming service, but it has regular cable channels. Like I said, and it's the only one that provides Altitude. So I can watch my Nuggets in my ass. Hey, I'm not lucky. I pay for it. You can get it, dude.
I know. I told my parents, but they
literally
want to finish their Dish contract before we go over to that.
Well, yeah, because there's an ETF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, most definitely. Wait till the ETF's over.
Well, and my dad also has. My dad
Right.
has Comcast at his apartment down there for work, so we're able to get some Nuggets games sometimes.
Right,
but that's the only
TV
way.
Games.
And that's we get national TV here, but we on Dish we haven't been able to watch Sunday Night Football since week 7. They took NBC off.
That's what I was about to say. Like,
so because I told you all about that.
Wow.
Because we have to hook my dad's laptop to the TV to use the Comcast website to watch Sunday Night Football, and that's how we have to watch the Super Bowl. That's how we have to watch the Super Bowl. I mean, I have Peacock.
Man.
I have
that's
Peacock.
right, because it's on NBC. Oh, Jesus.
Hey, I'm glad it's on NBC. I want Al Michaels to have one more Super Bowl before he goes out.
Oh,
even though after the Rams Bucks game, dude, he could not hide his disappointment and anger that Tom Brady lost.
Yes, 1,000. He was not happy.
I think he was hoping he got a Brady Super Bowl for his last one. Hey, you get an even better Super Bowl. You get 2 gunslingers, a vet,
Stafford and Burrow.
You get
How is it
two first-time Super Bowl like quarterbacks, and one of them's a vet. One of them's in his second season.
Right. You got the old guard and the new guard. You got the old gunslinger and the new gunslinger. Like, this should be on par with that Monday night game of the Chiefs and the Rams. Like,
dude, that game
I
was
see
awesome.
This as being a shootout. Like, this is going to be the highest scoring Super Bowl in Super Bowl history.
What is the highest scoring minus the blowouts? Like, closest like highest scoring.
God, I want to say it was the Philadelphia Patriots
New England game. Yeah, I think it was.
I want to say it was.
Because when did that end? It ended what, like 42-30 something?
Yeah, it was some crazy number. No, actually, the highest Super Bowl, which took place on Super Bowl XXIX on January 29th, 1995, was the highest scoring Super Bowl in NFL history. The game featured the San Francisco 49ers and the formerly named San Diego Chargers.
That's right. That was a close. Yep. That was close for most of the game.
That was
Dan
Fouts.
Blew him out.
Yeah, that was the end of Dan Fouts' career. I believe,
and that was Steve Young's first Super Bowl as a starter.
That was his only Super Bowl.
The only Super Bowl, yeah. Well, his first and only Super Bowl as a starter.
Yep.
Because he had the 2 rings before.
That was the famous "Get the monkey off my back." That's the Super Bowl that NFL film soundbite came from. Was whenever you see Steve Young talking about "Get the monkey off my back," that's the Super Bowl that he's talking about.
Proved it. That
But yes, I think we've done.
Memory. I want to bring something up. We got the past 3 days. I had 2 memories pop up on Twitter and Facebook. Everything from the Broncos, Super Bowl 32 and 33.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, but this is why I said that I feel your pain. Wife put it in the chat. I can reminisce about those days in Florida, hooking up the laptop to the TV to watch sports.
I mean, I had to do it before,
I was in Florida,
right?
guys.
Right?
I love Denver sports. So the only way that I got to watch anything Denver sports was either they were playing a Florida team or I was hijacking it off of a stream. So, yeah, for 15 years, that's how
I'm
I
not
watched
proud of the
sports.
websites I had to find on the internet to go and get
Me
games.
either, including the time that we were about to watch a Broncos game and an advertisement came up talking about, are you a boy or are you a girl? And like went through my sound system and everything. I'm like, whoa, what?
I'm good.
I'm like, I don't want to answer. That is a really creepy question for you to ask. But
I'm
we
a
also have
refrigerator. That's what I identify as.
Vom Red. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. I
Oh wait,
appreciate
I
you.
could probably read
Keep
that. That
coming.
was Russian. No, I'm joking.
Yes. Go
No,
for it.
I'm not gonna get in trouble for trying.
no, but again, we appreciate y'all. Y'all have been great. Keep up the engagement. Keep up the views. Like I said, y'all have been
This was a long
absolutely
one.
epic in January. It was long. We got to exactly an hour and a half, but I think we fit in.
We got 9 seconds. Hurry.
But no, again, for the Answers 42 Media Network, Bird Gang Sports Media Network, make sure you like, you subscribe, you do all those great things, hit all the buttons. We love y'all. Thank y'all again for the Answers 42 Media Network, Breakin' Broncos podcast. I am your host, Dan Wetstein. That's my guy, Dylan Miles. And don't question the blue. We out.
You can if you want, but it's up to you.